My name is Sarah, and I'm a volunteer with American Pilgrims on the Camino. I'm joined by Tracy, who is here to tell us more about American Pilgrims award-winning grants program. Tracy, can you describe the purpose of the grants program?
Sure. Well, first of all, I think the grants program is at the very heart of the way American Pilgrims give back to the Camino that gives us so much love. So the grants program is made up of three different grants, primarily from American Pilgrims. The one that people are most familiar with, I think, are the multi-year infrastructure grants, and they go for infrastructure improvements on routes in France, Spain, and Portugal. There's a major grants project program that funds major capital improvements that have a high impact for pilgrims. And then there's the Michael Wyatt Hospitalero Service Grant that helps to support and fund travel expenses for our hospitaleros.
Where does the funding for these programs come from?
Yeah, all of the funding, all of these programs come from the generosity of American Pilgrims on the Camino, either through donations or dues.
Can you tell us a little bit about the program history, this program that has been awarding grants for now more than 15 years?
Yeah, 2008, I believe, was the first grant. It started with one grant to an albergue on the Via de la Plata. And since that time, the grants program has grown remarkably. So as of this past year, we have donated nearly $800,000 to worthy projects on the Camino that, again, really improve the quality of the pilgrim experience. They go for a variety of different things. Albergue improvements, for example, repairing a leaky roof, or a hot water heater so that pilgrims can take a hot instead of a cold shower. There have been a number of energy efficiency projects, so that replacing leaky windows and door frames, and even installing solar panels to help reduce energy costs. Each year we see projects that support kitchen and bathroom and community space upgrades. Think about how important it is for that pilgrim who wants to cook their own meal to have a working stove, or even the communal dinner that we all love. It's part of the connective tissue of the Camino, isn't it? How can we do that if we don't have, or it's a little harder to do that if we don't have a kitchen, that's available and working for us. Each year we see bathroom projects to make bathrooms safer and more accessible. Some of my favorite projects include waymarking. I think it's because I don't like to get lost, and who does? But the board actually has done a lot and given a priority to taking some pressure off of the Camino Frances. And part of that includes improved signage on some of the less traveled routes. We buy bunk beds. How important is it to get a good night's sleep? So, while we don't finance earplugs, we do buy bunk beds. And then there are a number of projects that we've seen recently to make the Camino accessible to everyone, and to persons with disabilities. And so those projects have been very inspiring, and to bring the joy of the Camino and make it available for everyone.
And that really fits in well with the mission of American Pilgrims on the Camino, which is to welcome all, to inspire all who seek the spirit of the Camino. And I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it's really rewarding work.
Now, I imagine that the grants process is straightforward, but also complex, because we're dealing with international grants here. Can you tell us about the grants process?
Yeah, there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and it really is a year-round effort. There's a small grants committee. It begins with a call to action from that committee to prospective partners in country on the Camino. Some of those relationships that we have are longstanding, and other times we see first-time applicants, which is always great to see as well. There is a larger group of bilingual volunteers. Then they look at those applications that come back and they evaluate them against a standard list of criteria that help the grants committee determine sort of impact and need. There are requests for video and photos that kind of supplement the narrative. There's a process in place to make sure that we are validating all of the documentation that we need, verifying things like nonprofit status, which is one of the prerequisites for the program. And then all of these recommendations and things get rolled up to the board, who make the final recommendation or the final approval of the recommendation. And after that, you're right, we transfer funds internationally. We make sure that we have post-project reports so that we can make sure we're being good stewards of the money. So it is a year-round process. It's a competitive grant process, and it's one that we're very proud of in terms of impact.
And I've got one question for you. If a pilgrim has a favorite albergue, is it possible to donate to American Pilgrims for a specific albergue grant project?
Not that I'm aware of. And so I think that's because of the rigor of the process and the fact that the albergues are the ones, or the associations, I should say. Sometimes they're albergues, but associations are the ones that actually do the applying part. But, we're always open to information and making sure that we're reaching out so that those partners, Ruben always is expanding the list to make sure that more and more people know about the availability of the grants program.
I know that from talking with you over the last few months or so, that this is a project and an initiative that you are passionate about. How did you get involved as part of the grants team?
Yeah, I first heard about the grants program at my first gathering. And I love the fact that you can make these modest grants for these practical projects like a bathroom upgrade, a stove, or signage that make such a big difference. They play so big in the lives of the pilgrim themselves. And I think of this as a form of Camino diplomacy, really. Either building relationships or strengthening the relationships that are already there between American Pilgrims and the associations and the folks in country who are serving pilgrims as they walk through. And if you read the testimonials and you just see the gratitude that we receive back for these grants and the relationship that we've built. Yeah, Camino diplomacy for sure.
It's interesting. We don't think that our $50 membership dues or maybe a $10 or $20 donation will make much of an impact. But when you combine it with the generosity and membership of other pilgrims, we can really together make a big difference, not only in the life of the albergue and what the daily activities are like and how it helps them to do maintenance and improve the albergue, but for all of the pilgrims who pass through. It's a wonderful opportunity for pilgrims to become able to, it enables pilgrims to give back to the community of pilgrims worldwide,
Sure.
and it's wonderful.
And Sarah, to that point, just think about the fact that some of these smaller villages are sustained by, that one albergue or the services that they provide to the pilgrims coming through. So, we're actually, supporting sometimes, more than just a single albergue, but, maybe even an entire community.
Exactly. Now, I've walked multiple caminos and stayed in countless albergues, and occasionally cross paths with an American Pilgrims, thank you from the albergue or notice, and have talked with other board members and other volunteers and looked on the website and seen different albergues that have received grants. And each grant is important to pilgrims, but what are some of the most memorable albergue projects or Camino projects?
Yeah, I'll start by saying I think the most memorable are the ones that have affected you personally as a pilgrim. I think of that hot shower as an example, or not getting and losing your way, you know, whether it's a new shower in Granion or fixing a washed out and unsafe portion of the Camino Olvidado. I think we have all, those of us who have walked, been beneficiaries in some form or fashion from the monies that have been donated by American Pilgrims. But, you know, what comes to mind, I alluded to a couple of these grants, particularly from last year, that support persons with disabilities experiencing the joy of the Camino. And I was watching a video the other day. We have a link on the grants page of the American Pilgrims website, so everyone can watch it. And it was so incredibly powerful. I mean, I got a little teary and thinking about, you know, the really impactful and good work that we do. I was very, very proud to be part of it.
That's fantastic. So, and you just alluded to it, but where can pilgrims go to get more information?
Yeah, so for more information and for heaps of inspiration, folks can visit americanpilgrims.org, and then they can, there's a drop down to the grants page, or americanpilgrims.org/grants. And we just gave a little refresh to the website. So there's quite a lot of, to the grants page on the website, there's quite a lot of information there for people, and it's all up to date.
And videos posted on our YouTube channel as well. There's a fount of information out there.
You know, even the videos, I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker, but I encourage people that even those videos that are in Spanish have been selected not only because of their impact, but because you can follow along and really see how they're using the monies in countries. So there's some in English and some in Spanish as well.
Tracy, thank you very much for your time today.
It has been my pleasure, Sarah. Buen camino.
Buen camino.